Okay, so just turning. And then just a few tipping. And then just a few more twisting. Okay, so let's just try some just pulling in the belly. Yeah, so just pulling in the belly and then releasing. And then just get into the reverse breathing, so sucking the air in as you pull the belly in. So it's best if you use the small hole in the mouth. And then just alternating. So what we want to do, one of the things they say in Tai Chi is that the more advanced you are, the more you can distinguish the waist from the hips. So we want to make sure that when we turn the waist, not the hips. The hips turn with the waist. So what I want to do is just contract one side here, and that is effectively a turn of the waist. Now, of course, my hips can't move because I'm sitting, so it's ideal in a way. And then I contract the other side. So sucking in. So I want to feel the one side yielding, one side sucking in. That produces a turn. And then just like the beginning of the form, you know, where we reach out and then we yield. So I really want to feel this yield being a real contraction, almost like a collapse of this side of my body. So I'm here, and then I hold the ball. And then this hand goes out and I draw in here. So I'm drawing the belly in, and then it relaxes into holding the ball. So pull. So central equilibrium. So we just want to feel these stationary postures as being the balance of two movements. So I want to get out of the idea of holding forces, of creating a force to hold me in position. So what I have to do to counter that is just really make everything that I do really active. So here, I want to make the pushing up. I don't want my straightening legs to just be holding me in position. So the best way to stop that happening is to really actively pull yourself down. So instead of just allowing gravity to pull me down, there's a sense that I'm using these muscles here, my hamstrings, to suck myself down. So let's try that. But again, getting it coming from the belly. So when you do something that bends the body, or bends the legs, bends the arms, we want to get that happening because I'm pulling the belly in. So here I'm really sucking my belly in to draw myself down. And then I drive against that with the legs. And then again. So I want to feel that the down with my legs has been activated by my belly contracting. So I pull the belly in here. And just really feeling, the two movements, the down and the up, really sort of fighting each other. So I'm trying to come up here, but I'm also trying to pull myself down. And here I'm trying to pull myself down, but against these straightening legs. So it's really active. There's a lot of dynamic tension in the body, and it's fiery. Pulling the belly in and then straightening the legs. And again, drawing the belly in on the in-breath. So here I'm sucking the air in. So doing everything we can to make it really intense. One more. And then just standing with this belly that's drawing in. Yeah, so that's very much the mind with the musculature. So with the energy that travels through the muscles and with the muscles working. And now let's just switch the mind to the heavy sacrum. So that's, it's very, very different because the sacrum is just a bone. So it's pretty much just solid and inert, relatively speaking. So now I'm just with my still, quiet mind. and just feeling the draw, feeling it just pulling down to the ground. And then, so that's connecting to the earth in this sort of just quiet, releasing to gravity way. So the thing we've lost, I think, is the heavens, the sky. So we no longer connect to the vault of the sky or the firmament of the heavens. And so what we want to feel here, as well as the draw of gravity. So the earth pulls the part of me that belongs to her, so my body, like the part of me that has mass. Whereas the heavens will draw the spirit through me because the spirit is weightless. So the vacuum of space, the bright lightness of the heavens will suck something up me if I allow it, yeah? So this is, we've lost the enthusiasm to let ourselves be operated upon by the elements. So I feel this being drawn down, but also I want to feel almost like the top of my skull has been taken off and energy is just being drawn out of me upwards. So if you look at the old writings on Tai Chi, like Sun Lutang and Yang Cheng Fu, when they wrote a list of like the 10 important points of Tai Chi, the number one was always the head feels as though it's suspended. Yeah. So this sense of a draw coming up, and really it's just the first commandment, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul. So just this feeling of a lift of optimism and enthusiasm that's just coming up you all the time. Now we tend to want to just pull that back to us, yeah. So that's the one that we cut off because it's quite easy to cut off from, because it's energy and spirit, not matter. It's very difficult to cut off from your own body or the act of the earth upon it. So as I stand, I'm connecting heaven and earth. So for the Chinese, that's the function of the human being. And when the term heaven and earth for the Chinese is just their word for nature. So when you're connected to the earth and you're connected to the heavens, then you are natural, you are in your nature, you are of your nature. And then the heart, which is really just the intersection of the head and the belly, really, that then has a chance of just operating with the world. Yeah. If you've lost this, then the heart will be just dropped because there isn't that pull upwards. And so we'll be depressed. And the heart will just be thinking to itself, just be going around. There's this endless circulation inside. So I'm being drawn down. So this is watery. It's it's heavy, like a heavy liquid, yeah. And it just wants to just flow down. And this is fiery. It's like these flames, not hot flames, just, the energy of flames just licking upwards. Okay, now let's just try a Qigong just to assist that. Just very, very simple, just bringing the hands up, reaching up to the heavens without straightening the legs, and then just bringing the hands down. And just feeling the mood. So here, this is sort of a bit sad because you've sort of deflated a little bit. And then here, you're sort of inflating, your things are looking up, the energy is coming upwards, and then here the energy is just dropping. And you can just bring to mind the element associated with, so here this is like fire. So this is quite sort of fiery, not angry, just sort of agitated a little bit. And then this is watery. So it's, that saying of John's, imagine it's raining all the time. So this is just like, the rain falling down. And then this is the hot air rising up the chimney. Yeah, so the image I used to like to use was having just come out of the shower. You've just had a hot shower and you're just standing there naked and the water is just dribbling down your body. But also you've got steam rising from you. So it's the same substance, water, but in two different states, in a liquid state and in a gaseous state. So it's just up and down. So things are looking up. And then you just feel a little downhearted and you just dip down to the earth. Okay, so let's just come back to riding horse. So feel the sacrum just hanging down, but also feel the activity in the legs that are trying to pull you down and trying to straighten up at the same time. So we don't want this to disturb the sacrum too much. Okay, now let's just try the breathing. But now just thinking of this as sort of outside and inside. So this is like opening up to the outside. And then this is just going in. So we had up and down before, and now we've got in and out. Yeah, so just so consumed by what you're doing that you can't think to yourself. If there are words coming into your head, then you're anxious. There's no two ways about it. Even if you're telling yourself how wonderful you are, you're still anxious because you have to tell yourself how wonderful you are. So I just want the feeling that I'm brimming with energy, and it's just wanting to burst out. So I can't withdraw too much because I've just got so much internal pressure. And then just riding horse again. So just feel the container of riding horse. So it's like there's all this energy inside that's just wanting to burst out, but you're keeping it in. So that Blake quote, reason is the outward circumference of energy. It's your container. Okay, and now let's just basically do the same exercise that we did when we were sitting on the cushion. So just drawing one side in. So trying to I just want to really feel what it is that turns my waist when I turn. So what I don't want is to be doing this, because this is just me giving orders to my bones to turn. I want to really feel it as being something inside here that is contracted and pulled in. And it's almost like the bones are trying to stay where they are. They move, obviously, but almost reluctantly. And then this side. So I just want to feel it really in the belly and the muscles. So I pull, and I pull, pull. So just imagine you're like pulling a rope. Now there's this big thing, like you're pulling a barge in on the canal. So you're reaching forwards, and then you really have to pull here in the belly, here. Yeah, so it's difficult. There's a lot of resistance to your pull. You're having to really pull here. Oh. Yeah, so the feeling is that as I pull, something in me is tightening. I'm trying to pull this way, but because it's difficult to move, it actually pulls this hip towards it. And then something inside has to really contract. And then once it started moving, then my bones can go with it. So the sort of muscular action starts really quite deep inside, very close to the spine. So I pull, and then my hips can go. Yeah, so once the boat is moving, once it's sliding, it's easier. So there's like this moment of inertia that you have to overcome each time you use the muscle. Whoa. Yeah, and just feel as you contract here, it's sort of pulling you over like this, but it's also pulling the bum under. Yeah, so we'd like to be able to get this so you're working really hard and still keep the sacrum feeling like it's hanging loosely through this mad activity. So there's part of me that's really working hard, and another part of me that's just serenely still, almost in a different dimension, and I can just switch readily from one to the other with my mind. Okay. And now let's just bring it back. Yeah, so I want to be able to really produce a very localized tension here and almost feel that the tension here assists the sacroiliacs and the hips to actually release. So that, that ability to really sort of pinpoint things, that just comes from a mind that's sort of relatively quiet. So most people can't. You tell them, just tense your belly a little bit and everything gets tense. Yeah. So we just want to really feel, it's right at a point. Yeah. Those exercises that young Lu Chan, they do a lot of exercises for the belly where they fire it. They just clench the muscles. So, and so they practice by putting rice grains on their belly when they're lying down, and they're meant to be able to fire these rice grains up in the air just by these short, sharp bursts of tension. Okay. And now let's just imagine the sacrum now just really in the middle of your circle and just turning around it. So basically the first warm-up exercise, but with the real sense that you're in the middle of your circle, you're not behind it. So everything's revolving around your spine. So this will help the sacrum come forwards a little bit. And it will also help the heart lift. Okay, and now. And now let's just try just the moving backwards and forwards, but just trying to get into energy. So to start that, we just see the push with the foot. So I'm pushing backwards with my foot, and that's moving my body forwards. I'm pushing forwards with my front foot, and that's moving my body back. Yeah, so here, what we want to really feel is the activity. Yeah. So what I'm coming forwards, I'm pushing, my back foot is pushing me forwards into the front foot. Now my front foot is obviously having to get tense, otherwise I'll fall. And so my front leg is pushing against the push of the back leg. So what I want to make sure is that push is not just a holding force. It's not just something that's just holding me still. It's trying to push me back. So my back leg is trying to push me forwards, and my front leg is trying to push me back. And then I reach a point where both pushes are balanced. And then I can push myself back, but the back leg is trying to push me forwards. And then what I want to do is try and feel the push of the front leg as I come forwards, extending up through me into the opposite hand. So as I push into the back foot is trying to straighten through that, and that's growing up my body and into the opposite hand. So this is energy. So what we want to feel is the spirit required to allow energy to manifest. So it won't just happen. You have to have the right mood of optimism and cheerfulness to allow the energy to sort of extend up through the body. And really that mood, that spirit, is what John called faith. Yeah. So remember, I think it was Robert W. Smith asked Chen Manqing why none of his students were anywhere near as good as him. And he said, because they don't believe. So they can't just produce that mood of, it's like suspend, when you're at the cinema, you suspend disbelief so that what you're watching can operate upon you. Otherwise, there's no point going. So it's the same here. You're just allowing the energy to come up and possess you. So you're suspending your skepticism, your depression, and just allowing yourself to be enthused by spirit. So, and this is what people find so difficult nowadays. So when people tell me I can't feel energy, I thought, well, it's only because you're blocking it. You're blocking it by trying to feel it, if anything. So you have to believe before the energy will manifest. You can't wait to feel it before you then believe in it. So I'm coming forwards and this leg is just, it's just pushing through. And then I just want to feel the sort of twists and turns I need to make to allow this energy to wriggle its way through. So I need a real lightness in the upper body. If my body's compressed and crushed by gravity and by my own negativity, then the energy just can't travel through. So each of the joints has to be really open. So even though you're working with gravity, you're working with your mass, it's light, it's not heavy. Yeah, so this is what we, so when we're doing the form, the activity in the arms should really just be this energy that's coming up from the leg, expressing itself. There's something Roberto said to me, which really affected me. So he said, it really saddens me to know that there are people in the world who have never experienced the joy in praising God. Yeah. So basically, praising God is just this sort of light lifting energy. It's just you offering a sacrifice of something upwards. So really, when you're doing the form, the activity of your upper body is just you praying. It's you praising God. It's the energy from the earth that's come up and is expressing itself as it rises through you. So and I remember Pat once saying to me, she said, the one thing I would love to be able to do, but I just can't, is believe. Believe in God, believe in Jesus. Yeah. And so that's really is suspending disbelief. Yeah. So it's not so much believing. The belief starts with the suspension of disbelief. If you can suspend that, then the belief will come. The faith will come. And we all have it in us, At some level, each of us is just aching to praise God. Yeah. It's like with my old lady that's just died. She's been dead a month now. Now, I used to go to her twice a week, and it used to really sort of tire me out and get me down. And, and it's only really now she's gone that I just realized how much I loved her. Yeah. Because all the time when the reality of her presence was there was a stronger part of me was just telling myself just how irritating and boring the work was. Okay, so there's that beautiful phrase of Heidegger's, being is not presence. That Byung-Chul handbook, absence, yeah. So it's only in the person's absence that you realize how much you love them. It's beautiful, really. Because there can always be something about the person that puts you off, yeah. So you just don't want to be in their company because there's, their character or their personality sort of gets you down. But but you have a connection. Yeah. So in some way that has to be honored and worked on. So I go back and this back leg is extending through me. And then I come forward and this front leg is extending through me. So I want to work in such a way that my heart is woken, my fledgling heart can grow feathers, yeah, and learn how to fly. Yeah, so as you come forwards and the energy's coming up, it's like it sort of washes the spine. It sends like a ripple of upward energy that just cleanses the spine, because the spine has all sorts of little kinks and compressions, and we just want to open that up. So as I sink into the legs, something just comes up the spine. And then a real sense that the head is just kept in the right position by levitating rather than gravitating. So something is coming up and just extending upwards. Okay, so let's just bring it into riding horse again. Yeah, so here, just feel, I was watching that, that series with, what's his name, Ben Wishart, where he's a doctor. So he's an obstetrician, so he's sort of giving cesareans all the time or helping babies be born. So you see a lot of crowning heads. So just feel here like you're giving birth, yeah, and the head is just beginning to crown, and the earth is just, like those suction things that they pull the baby out with when it gets stuck. You're being pulled down. The baby is being pulled out, and that's really lengthening and stretching your lower back and sacrum. And then just the analog, just the equivalent of that here, like someone's just sawn the top of your skull off, and your brain, or like a baby's being drawn out the top of your head. So you're being stretched by gravity, the gravity of the earth and the levity of the heavens. And it's often easier to feel this one at nighttime, when it's often the bright light of the day can feel a bit oppressive. But at nighttime, you can just feel the stars. Yeah, you can feel all that gentle light in the heavens, just lifting you up. Yeah, so just this feeling that you're right on the edge of spilling out. So to actually think to yourself, you just have to withdraw too much into a place that's just, is obviously just not very healthy. And so we just want to be brimming. So we're spilling. I saw a little boy yesterday, when I just walking through the park, and he was just so open. He just looked like he was just melting. These eyes that were just looking at the world, so different from the adults who are sort of too busy with their own worlds to see the real world. So it's this sense that real, when John told me that I had to learn how to bleed more when I did my form. So that sense that your energy is bleeding out, it's painful, but that's life. So raw, like when you pull the skin off and it starts weeping, the flesh starts weeping. Okay, now let's just try bringing the foot up. So it's the full and empty. So I'm just filling one side, and that allows the other side to empty. And I just really want to make sure that I feel, and it's just like the liquid, the water, or the weeping. Yeah. So all those tears just flow down into this leg. And then it just allows this just to sort of come up. And so I have to feel this sense of just falling in this direction in order to allow this to come up, this leg. So something in me is really reaching out here. Yeah, so as well as feeling this side full, this side empty, I want to feel this side of the leg full and this side of the leg empty. So I'm really going into the outside edge of the foot. And so for that, I really need to press down with the big toe. Otherwise, I'll fall back, because we'll always tend to fall this way, because I can stop myself with the leg when I do that. But I want to feel that if I'm going to fall, it's that way. It's out of my space, not into it. And then just bringing the knee up, and you can just bring it up in stages. That's the way I work with people. So it's like I sink into this outside edge, this comes off the ground, and then I can just hoik it up little by little. Just want the knee to get slightly higher than the hip so that you can feel the leg pulling your lower back under. So 1, 2, 3. And just really feel the equilibrium. So I've got the equilibrium on the vertical, but I've also got the equilibrium this way now as well. So my arm is pulling me out that way, and my heavy leg is trying to pull me down here. And just feel the mind, yeah? So when you find yourself falling in like this, when you find yourself coming onto the inside edge and tending to fall down into the leg that's meant to be up in the air, that's very similar to the feeling of coming into you in order to think to yourself, in order to indulge your worries. And so it really, I mean, that the Blake quote again, reason is the outward circumference of energy. So it really is, I have to just keep in that outward circumference, and then my mind is being used correctly. Yeah. Because anxiety is the enemy. That's like a real shrinkage. If I can stay in the outside, in this outside edge of my foot, in this sort of bleeding equilibrium, then my mind won't be thinking to itself. So true thought happens when the mind stops. Yeah, so real thinking has nothing to do with language. It's more like that sort of the thunderstorm of being, the lightning bolts in the thunderstorm of being, and each bolt just lights up the scene momentarily, and then you get a vision, you get an insight. Nothing to do with words. So that, that's Heidegger. He says you have to put yourself in the thunderstorm of being. And nowadays we try everything we can to actually calm the thunderstorm down, which means, we never get any insights. It's like a smile. When you smile, the face feels like it's widening. It's that here. Well, like the Oriental face, their faces just look wide because their eyes are wide apart. They're not like our faces, which are narrow with the eyes sunken in. So Westerners tend to have this haunted look relatively because they're just so busy up here. With a big toe pressing down. Okay, so let's just bring it back to riding horse. So the sacrum heavy, and this sense of a center, a contracting center that's holding you together. Feeling the earth just sucking that baby out of you. Feeling the sky drawing energy up your spine and out of the crown of the head. Okay, and now just contracting here to pull ourselves up. So just drawing in the belly. So that will draw me into this leg, and it will also suck this leg up and then just straightening the leg without the bum sticking out. So I still get this sense of my sacrum sort of angling down into the front foot. So my upper back is just leaning back a little bit. Okay, good. So let's